The sound that woke me wasn't just a notification. It was a scream tearing through the quiet night. At 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed violently against the nightstand, the glow of the screen cutting into the darkness. My heart sank before I even picked it up. The red alert from my security app burned against my tired eyes. Motion detected in greenhouse dot. I sat up, pulse hammering, mind racing. I didn't bother with socks. Yesterday's jeans, still stiff with soil stains at the knees, clung cold against my skin. My fingers shook as I grabbed my keys and rushed outside. The drive stretched for ever 11 long minutes of headlights, sweeping across empty roads, every second dragging like an eternity. When I finally turned onto my property, the first thing I saw was the gate. My breath caught. The padlock snapped in two, dangling like a useless ornament. No. My hands tightened around the wheel until my knuckles burned white. I didn't even shut the car door properly, just stumbled out, leaving the headlights on, to carve a pale path across the night. The gate groaned when I shoved it open. Glass cracked beneath my boots with each step, the sharp sound echoing in my chest. It sounded like breaking bones. Each crunch revealed more devastation. Each step made my body heavier. No, no, no. The words slipped from my mouth like a broken prayer, useless against the destruction swallowing me whole. Inside the world I had built, my pride, my survival was gone. Orchids that had taken years to grow were shredded in half. Hanging baskets lay in ruins, their roots spilling across the concrete. Succulents I had nursed from seedlings lay trampled, smeared into the floor under the weight of boot prints. Pottery. Shards glittered like cruel confetti across the ground. The Hartwell order. $22,000 worth of plants gone. Months of preparation. Endless hours. Sleepless nights. All reduced to rubble in a single night. My chest constricted, so tightly it hurt to breathe. I stumbled to the small office at the back, clinging to one last fragile hope. The cameras. Maybe, just maybe, they had caught something. My hands fumbled at the buttons until the screen flickered to life. I rewound with shaking fingers, desperate, and then I saw him. Tyler. My brother's face filled the screen, perfectly lit, eyes cutting straight into the camera as if daring me to watch. In his hand, the garden shears I'd left in my shed. His lips curled into a sneer as he began the work. No, not work. The performance of tearing my life apart. His hatred wasn't hidden. It burned bright, intentional, deliberate. My knees buckled. I sank to the ground among the ruins, soil and clay clinging to my palms. The footage rolled on mercilessly. 2 full hours of destruction. Tyler, methodical, calm, glancing at the camera again and again to make sure I knew exactly who was doing this, exactly who wanted me to suffer. Only a week ago we had all sat together at my parents' table. Mum passing mashed potatoes, Dad clearing his throat the way he always did before something uncomfortable. Isla, honey, Mum began, her voice smooth but firm. Tyler's between jobs again. We thought maybe your greenhouse could use another pair of hands. You're doing so well now. I had set my fork down carefully, choosing my words. I can't afford to take on another employee right now, Mom. And Tyler doesn't have any experience with plants. Dad's laugh came sharp, without humor. It's flowers, Isla. How hard can it be to water a few flowers? Heat had risen. In my chest. He would never understand, none of them would. The greenhouse wasn't just about watering. It was about maintaining pH balances, calibrating temperature and humidity, feeding cycles that couldn't be interrupted for even a day. Family helps family, Mum insisted, her hand reaching for mine across the table. Her nails smooth, unmarked. Hands that had never once touched soil, that had never blistered from pruning shears, or bled from glass shards. It's not personal, but it was. I couldn't risk the Hartwell contract. I couldn't risk years of sacrifice. I'm sorry, I'd said, voice firm. Tyler's smile had been too thin, too sharp. No worries, sis. I get it. But he didn't get it. The text came the very next morning. Cruel, relentless, full of bitterness. You think you're better than us. You only care about money. Guess family means nothing to you. I blocked his number after 3 days. But Mom and Dad, they called daily. Each voicemail dripped with disappointment. I stopped answering. I buried myself in 16-hour days, hands raw, back aching, all for the Hartwell order. It was my chance, my future, my lifeline. And then, last night, his slurred voice on my voicemail. Thick with bourbon. You'll regret this, Isla. You'll regret choosing plants over family. Just wait, Dot, and now here I was, standing in the ruins of everything I had built, the echo of his threat ringing true. I forced myself to stand, forced my shaking hands to lift my phone and document every shattered pot, every ruined plant. Click after click, proof of his destruction. My voice trembled, but I kept it steady as I called the police. Yes, I said, forcing the words out. I'd like to report vandalism. I have security footage. The person is identified. While I waited for sirens, I wandered the wreckage, letting memories claw at me. Signing the deed 4 years ago. The loan officer smirking at me, doubting me. My pride when I shoved my business plan across his desk. Every penny accounted for. The countless nights alone, nursing seedlings, praying contracts would come. On the monitor, Tyler swung a hammer into a row of terracotta pots, movements cold, exact. Not rage. Not a drunken accident. This was chosen, calculated. Malice with purpose. Something hardened inside me. The shaking stopped. My spine straightened. My voice, when it came, was steady. This ends today, I whispered to the empty greenhouse. The sirens grew louder. Dawn broke faintly across the horizon. And for the first time, I wasn't just a gardener. I was ready to fight. By noon, I was pulling into my parents' driveway, the police report tucked under my arm. The house looked smaller now. The brick and columns less grand, less intimidating. Just a shell. My hands tightened on the wheel. Mom answered the door, wearing her soft Sunday cardigan, though it was Tuesday. Her smile faltered the second she saw my face. Isla, honey, we weren't expecting you. I need to talk to everyone, I said. My voice didn't shake, including Tyler. Inside, Dad sat in his recliner, newspaper folded neatly. Tyler sprawled on the couch, scrolling his phone. They both looked up, unbothered. Neither moved. Isla. Dad nodded. What brings you? By unannounced? I dropped the folder on the coffee table. My greenhouse was vandalized last night. The Hartwell order destroyed. Mom gasped. Oh my God, did you call the police? I did. I turned to Tyler, meeting his flat gaze. They have security footage. I don't know what you're talking about, he said smoothly, sitting straighter. 2 taps, and the footage filled their TV. Tyler's face, smug, sneering, garden shears lifted in mock salute. The crash of pots, orchids shredded. The silence. In the room shattered only by Mom's horrified gasp. Dad's newspaper crinkled under his tightening fist. Tyler's face flickered shock, anger, calculation. Turn it off, Dad said at last, voice low. I paused the video, leaving his face frozen on the screen. The police have it all. They're pressing charges for vandalism and breaking and entering. The silence was sharp enough to cut. Surely we can handle this privately, Mom said quickly, desperate. As a family. Dad cleared his throat, his voice controlled. The greenhouse is insured. I'll cover the deductible, Isla. Just tell them it was a mistake. You don't want this hanging over Tyler's future. He reached for his checkbook, as if money could erase everything. A laugh escaped me, harsh and humorless. You still don't get it. This isn't about money. Then what is it about? Tyler snapped. Punishment? Revenge? Consequences? I said evenly. Something you've never had. Mum stepped forward. Please, Isla, we're family. Family? I repeated, my voice sharp. Was it family when you gave Tyler a key to my house, without telling me? The quick lip-bay exchange told me the truth. How long have you had that key? Dad shifted uncomfortably. Since you bought the place. But that's not 4 years. The betrayal burned like acid. 4 years you let him have access to my home without my knowledge. Tyler shot to his feet. You're overreacting. It's just a key. Just like, they're just plants. Just like, it's just business? My voice cracked like glass. I heard you've been telling people I owe you a share. That it was supposed to be a family business. Well, it should have been, Tyler spat. Dad helped with your loan. Mum helped with the name. And when I needed something, just one thing, you shut me out. I looked down at my hands. Soil embedded deep in my nails, no matter how hard I'd scrub it. Hands that had built something from nothing. Hands that no one had helped but me. I looked up, my voice quiet, firm, final. I'm not dropping the charges. Dad lifted his pen, his face unreadable. Name your price, Isla. Whatever the damage costs plus extra for your trouble. I glance at the mantle where family photos tell our story. Tyler's graduation. Parents flanking him proudly. Tyler's first car. Ribbon on the hood. Tyler's college acceptance. In the corner, one small frame holds my business license photo. Added as an afterthought. Some things can't be bought off, Dad. My phone vibrates. A text from Lisa, my assistant. I saw Tyler arguing with you last week. Happy to give a statement. If needed. Earlier, Michael had called. I saw how he talked to you at the nursery supply. That wasn't normal. Let me know if you need a witness. Even Mr. Grayson from the bank had reached out. Your business plan was solid from day one. Miss Flores. We stand behind our investment in you. The Hartwell project manager surprised me most. Take the time you need. Your integrity is why we hired you. All these connections while I worked 16-hour days building something real. Where was my family then? I remember planting the first saplings on my property alone. Muscles screaming while they vacationed with Tyler in Florida. You don't understand what you're doing. Dad warns. This will change everything. Good. I tucked my phone away. Everything needed to change. Tyler's face contorts. The mask slips completely. You've always thought you were better than me, haven't you? Better than all of us with your precious plans and your self-made businesswoman act. Tyler, don't. Mum reaches for him, but he shrugs her off. You know what? I'm glad I did it. He's shouting now. Spittle flying. You needed to be knocked down a peg. Always so high and mighty, looking down on me because I don't want to work myself to death for minimum wage. Stop it right now. Dad stands. But it's too late. What were you going to do? Call the cops? Oh wait, you did. Tyler laughs bitterly. Always. Have to do the right thing, don't you, Isla? Mom turns to me, desperate. He didn't mean it. He's just upset. Even now. Even with his confession echoing in the room, they shield him. I stand straighter, shoulders back. I never thought I was better. Then you, Tyler. I just worked harder. I gather the folder and my phone. On the coffee table sits a framed photo from last Christmas. The four of us in matching sweaters, smiling for the camera. I leave it facing down as I walk out. Behind me, I hear Mom start to cry. Dad calls my name. Once, then falls silent. The front door closes behind me with a quiet click that sounds like freedom. The first time I planted something that grew, I was 14. A science teacher handed out lima beans wrapped in damp paper towels. Mine sprouted first. Other kids forgot their plastic cups on windowsills. I carried mine home, checking every hour. When that first true leaf unfurled, something inside me unfolded. 2. By 16. I sold potted herbs from a rickety card table in my parents' driveway. $20 profit that first weekend. I kept the cash in a coffee can labeled Greenhouse Fund while my classmates spent allowance money at the mall. You're really going to save for 10 years? Dad laughed when I showed him the zoning requirements for agricultural business property. That's not realistic. Isla. In the kitchen, Mom patted my shoulder. It's a lovely hobby. Sweetie. The next day, Tyler drove home in his graduation present. A glossy red Mustang that cost more than my entire savings goal. I watched from my bedroom window as Dad handed him the keys, both beaming with identical grins. That night, I applied for my second job stocking shelves at the hardware store. For 3 years. I worked mornings at the coffee shop, afternoons at the hardware store, and weekends at the garden center. I slept 4 hours a night and took online business courses during lunch breaks. When customers complained about soil under my fingernails while I served their lattes, I smiled and apologized. Every tip went into the coffee can. The loan officer, a man with shiny cufflinks and a Harvard diploma on his wall, barely glanced at me when I first walked into his office. I was 22, wearing my only blazer and carrying a binder held together with duct tape. So you want to grow? Plants. He flipped through my business plan without reading it. I want to build a specialized greenhouse focusing on drought-resistant ornamentals and rarer specimen plants for high-end landscaping contracts. I kept my voice steady. The words practiced in front of my bathroom mirror for months. His eyebrows lifted. Let's see your projections. 3 hours later, he approved the loan for half my requested amount. It's the best I can do for someone with no business history. Take it or leave it. I took it, knowing I need to build the first greenhouse myself. The land I purchased sat 10 miles outside town. 27 acres of overgrown field with poor drainage but good southern exposure. The previous owner had abandoned it after failing to develop a subdivision. I got it for 30 cents on the dollar. That first year broke me down and rebuilt me. Every morning before my shift at the coffee shop, I cleared rocks and pulled stumps. Every evening after the hardware store, I dug drainage trenches by headlight. I slept in my truck most nights too. Exhausted to drive home, using a tarp as my blanket. Rain soaked me. Sun blistered my shoulders. Mosquitoes feasted on every exposed inch of skin. Tyler visited once, pulling up in his Mustang while I was laying irrigation pipes. This is what you're killing yourself for? He gestured at the muddy field. The stack of lumber, the single frame, wall I'd raised. Looks like a whole lot of nothing to me. I straightened, wiping sweat from my forehead. It's not nothing to me. Whatever. He shrugged, hands in his pockets. Mom wants you to come to dinner Sunday. Dad's golf buddy is bringing his son. She thinks you'd hit it off. But. Can't. I'm pouring the concrete foundation. He rolled his eyes. You know they worry about you, right? This isn't normal. This ISN single quotes T. I turned back to my work without answering. He left tire marks across my newly graded driveway. The first greenhouse took shape over autumn. A landscaper named Michael stopped by one afternoon when I was struggling with the roof beams. "Want a hand?" he asked, already rolling up his sleeves. We worked until midnight, securing the polycarbonate panels against winter winds. Afterward, we drank lukewarm coffee sitting on upturned buckets. "Most people hire contractors for this kind of work," he said. "Most people have more money than determination." I flexed my blistered hands. "I have plenty of the second." During winter storms, I slept on a cot inside the greenhouse, afraid the structure wouldn't hold against the wind. When pipes froze and burst, I spent 3 days replumbing the entire system. When wholesalers wouldn't extend credit to a new business, I drove 6 hours each way to buy directly from growers, cramming seedlings into every inch of my truck. The morning I signed my first landscaping contract, $8,000 for a hotel renovation, I called my parents. "That's wonderful, honey," Mom said, distracted. "Tyler just got a promotion at the insurance office. We're taking him to Whistler to celebrate. I'd invite you, but I know how busy you are." I hung up and stood alone in my empty office, a metal desk inside a shipping container surrounded by invoice copies and growing schedules pinned to plywood walls. Outside, thousands of plants flourished under my care. When the Hartwell contract came, $22,000 for a corporate headquarters installation, I spent every waking minute preparing. Each plant was perfectly placed, labeled, and documented. At midnight on the final day of preparation, I allowed myself a small celebration, 1 cup of coffee on my truck tailgate, watching moonlight play across rows of healthy plants. Only that night did I feel successful. Then came 2:17 a.m., and the security alert that shattered everything. The morning after Tyler destroyed my greenhouse, I stood among the wreckage as dawn broke, already making lists in my head. The insurance adjuster arrived at 9, expecting tears and confusion. Instead, I handed him a complete inventory with photographs, purchase dates, and replacement costs. "Most people don't keep records this detailed," he said, surprised. And not most people. When I returned from my parents' house, 3 cars had pulled into my ruined driveway. The owner of the coffee shop where I'd worked years before, a regular customer from my first plant sale, Michael, holding 2 cups of coffee and work gloves. "We saw what happened on the community page," the coffee shop owner said. "Thought you could use some help. They stayed until sunset, clearing debris and salvaging what plants could be saved." Michael worked silently beside me, matching my pace without conversation. My phone rang as we finished, the Hartwell project manager. "I heard about what happened," she said. "We can adjust our timeline if you need it." I looked across the devastation, at the small pile of salvaged plants. "I appreciate that. We chose your company because of your reputation for quality and resilience. That hasn't changed." When the court date arrived 6 weeks later, I wore my work clothes clean but bearing the permanent soil stains of my profession. The courtroom smelled of furniture, polish, and anxiety. Tyler sat with our parents, all 3 dressed as if attending church. I testified without embellishment. The security footage played on the courtroom monitor, Tyler's face clearly visible as he systematically destroyed years of my work. The judge watched without expression. When it was Tyler's turn, he spoke of stress and misunderstandings, of feeling excluded from family business opportunities, of deep remorse that didn't reach his eyes. Our parents sat directly behind him, not in the neutral middle row. The judge's ruling was swift. Full restitution, 200 hours of community service. No contacted. Tyler's face hardened as the terms were read. I walked out alone, squinting. In the sudden sunlight, the greenhouse waited, already half rebuilt. Unlike the family behind me, it stood on foundations I could trust. 2 days later, The crunch of gravel under heavy boots announces the security installers arriving at 7 sharp. I'm already on my second coffee, having been awake since 4, reviewing blueprints for their built greenhouse. Sleep comes in short bursts these days. We'll start with 8 cameras, I tell the lead technician, pointing to the property diagram I've marked with red X's. Full coverage of every entrance, the parking area, and a special focus on the new greenhouse foundation. He nods appreciatively at my preparation. Most folks just tell us to make it secure and leave it at that. I manage a small smile. I'm not leaving anything to chance again. The insurance check arrived yesterday. $18,000. Not enough to replace everything, but enough to begin. I've been sleeping on a cot in my small office, guarding what remains while planning the resurrection. Every penny has been allocated in my new spreadsheet. Security first, then structural repairs, then plants in strict order of profitability. The doorbell chimes as the technicians' team gets to work. A woman I recognize from the Chamber of Commerce stands at the door, holding a gift basket and an envelope. Isla Flores. I'm Catherine Daniels. We've never formally met, but the business association wanted to extend our support. She gestures at the destruction still visible through the broken glass walls. We heard what happened, and we want you to know the local business community stands with you. I accept the envelope with soil-stained fingers. Inside is an invitation to join the association with first-year dues waived, along with contact information for 3 new potential clients interested in commercial landscaping. Thank you, I say, the words feeling inadequate. Your resilience has impressed a lot of people, Catherine says before leaving. Not many would be rebuilding so quickly. Not many would be rebuilding so quickly. By noon, I'm carefully transplanting salvageable seedlings according to my prioritized recovery schedule. My phone buzzes. Mom's number. The 4th call today. I silence it without breaking rhythm, my hands moving methodically through the soil. 10 minutes later, the security technician calls from outside. Miss Flores? Your parents are at the gate asking to be let in. My fingers tighten around a small terracotta pot. Please inform them that I'm in the middle of critical work and can't be interrupted. 20 minutes pass before I hear Mom's voice, somehow inside the property. She must have followed one of the security vehicles through the gate. Isla. Honey, we need to talk about healing our family. I don't look up from my work. This is private property. The business is closed for repairs. He's your brother, she says, her voice breaking. Family forgives family. Now I stand, wiping soil from my hands onto my jeans. I'll be happy to talk when Tyler completes his court-ordered restitution and community service. Until then, I have nothing to discuss. Dad steps forward from behind Mom. We've contacted Pastor Williams. He's willing to mediate a family meeting. No, I say quietly, but with absolute certainty. I've documented this visit. Please leave, or I'll have to call the officer handling my case. Their faces show the shock of unfamiliar consequences. They've never heard this tone from me before. That evening, I noticed Tyler's truck driving slowly past the property. Despite the no contacted her, I photographed the vehicle and forward it to my lawyer without emotion. Each violation strengthens my case. Each documented instance builds the wall between my past and my future. Later, I find 3 new 1-star reviews online for my business, all posted within an hour. The writing style matches Mom's bridge club friends. I flag them as harassment without reading beyond the first lines. The next morning, Michael arrives with coffee and bagels. What started as professional landscape architecture consultations has evolved into something neither of us has named yet. The new greenhouse frame arrives next Tuesday, he says, consulting his tablet. I've confirmed with the manufacturer. I nod, allowing myself a moment to appreciate how he remembers every detail without being asked. I'm hiring 2 assistants next week. Part-time to start. He looks up, surprise. Evident. You've never wanted employees before. I can't build this alone anymore. I admit. The words feel strange in my mouth, an acknowledgement of both limitation and expansion. And the Westridge corporate contract needs more hands than mine. Westridge contract? When did that happen? This morning. They called after seeing that article in the business journal. I hadn't sought publicity, but a reporter had found the court case and turned it into a story about small business resilience. Michael grins. That's twice the size of Hartwell. I know. For the first time in weeks, I allow myself a genuine smile. I'm making the first extra loan payment on Friday. We walk the property together, discussing placement for the expanded growing areas. The old greenhouse foundation has been cleared, ready for something larger and stronger. Through the chain link fence, I notice several members of my parents' country club watching us with uncomfortable expressions. News travels fast in this town. Your mother called me yesterday. Michael says casually, testing a support beam. I freeze. What? Asked if I'd talk some sense into you about dropping the charges. Shocked when I said you were making the right decision. The familiar pressure builds behind my eyes, but I blink it away. They'll try everyone eventually. Thank you for ... for what? For not needing an explanation. That evening I receive a text from an unknown number. One of my employees from last season, asking if positions are still available. Then another from a local supplier offering credit terms to help with the rebuild. I sit at my makeshift desk, surrounded by growing signs of recovery. Security cameras now monitor every approach to my property. New relationships with neighboring businesses ensure multiple eyes watching when I'm not here. The greenhouse frame. Scheduled for delivery. 2 new employees starting Monday. The Westridge contract signed and filed. Tyler took what I had built, but in doing so, he forced me to build something stronger. I review my planting schedule one last time before allowing myself 6 hours of sleep, the most I've scheduled since that night. Tomorrow brings another day of calculated growth, another day of boundaries maintained. Another day of rebuilding not just what was, but what should be. For the first time since the destruction, I fall asleep without checking the security cameras. First, after 6 weeks of boundaries and unanswered calls, Mother's text arrives as I'm finishing inventory. Family dinner tonight, 7 p.m. Time to make peace. I read it 3 times. Stomach tightening. This feels like another ambush. But avoiding them forever isn't the solution. You don't have to go, Michael says when I call him. But if you decide to, I'm coming with you. I'm coming with you. I decided to go, but I am bringing all other evidence of my brother's harassment. That evening, his steady presence beside me, as we pull into my parents' driveway, steadies my breathing. House looks exactly the same. Pristine lawn. Polished brass knocker. Autumn wreath perfectly scented. Mom opens the door before we knock. Her smile too bright. Isla, sweetheart. She embraces me stiffly. Her perfume, the same she's worn for 20 years, tickles my nose. And you must be Michael. So nice to finally meet you. And Teamy say. The dining room glows with candlelight. Mother's best china gleams on the table, alongside crystal water glasses that appear only for special occasions. Dad stands by his chair, forcing a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Good to see you, Princess, he says, using my childhood nickname for the first time in a decade. Something feels off. The table is set for 5. Then I hear footsteps from the kitchen. My body tenses before my brain fully registers. Tyler. He steps into the dining room holding a casserole dish, wearing an expression of practiced humility. The restraining order explicitly states he must stay 500 feet away from me. What is this? My voice drops to a dangerous calm. Now, Isla.mom interjects quickly. We thought it was time for everyone to talk this through like adults. Michael's hand finds the small of my back, grounding me. I notice Dad's eyes track the movement, his jaw tightening. Tyler isn't supposed to be within 500 feet of me. I say quietly, that's not my rule, it's the court's. Which is exactly what we need to discuss, Dad says, gesturing to the chairs. Sit, please. Your mother made pot roast. The audacity is breathtaking. I remain standing. We're family, Mom continues, her voice slipping into the gentle manipulation I've heard all my life. What will the neighbors think? The Flores family in court. Against each other. Your grandfather would be heartbroken. Dad nods solemnly. We've talked about this extensively with Tyler. He's ready to apologize properly. On cue, Tyler steps forward. Isla, I'm truly sorry for what happened. I was in a bad place, but I've been going to those anger management classes. I've changed. His words flow too smoothly, rehearsed in front of our parents' bathroom mirror. No doubt. I've heard variations of this speech since we were children. After he broke my science project. After he borrowed my car and crashed it. After each disaster that our parents helped him escape. What exactly are you hoping will happen tonight? I ask, looking between the three of them. Mom reaches for the breadbasket. Well, we thought once Tyler apologizes, you could reconsider pressing charges. Your father can cover any remaining damages. The insurance already covered the damages. Say, the criminal record is what's hurting him. Dad explains, as if I don't understand. He's had 3 job interviews fall through because of it. I open my messenger bag and remove a folder. This is a printout of Tyler driving by my greenhouse 4 times last week. I say, placing the first page on the table. This is from yesterday, when he parked outside my house for 27 minutes. Another page. And this is a copy of the messages he sent from different numbers since his regular one was blocked. Their faces reveal everything. They knew. True amends would mean respecting the boundaries set by the court. I continue. It would mean Tyler getting a job, any job, and paying restitution himself instead of using Dad's money. It would mean actual change, not just words. Mum's hand flutters to her throat. Isla family is above all. No. I interrupt. My voice firm, but not loud. Respect is above all. Consequences are necessary. Glow, you've always been so high and mighty. Tyler snaps. The mask of contrition slipping. You think your precious plants make you better than everyone. Dad stands, reaching for his wallet. Look, I'll write a check right now. Whatever amount you want. Let's put this ugliness behind us. This isn't about money, I say. It never was. Mom looks genuinely confused. Money and appearances have always been their solution to everything. I stand straighter. When you're ready to respect my boundaries, the legal ones and the personal ones, I'll be here. But reconciliation requires changed behavior, not just words. Tyler's face contorts with rage. You self-righteous bitch. You've always thought you were too good for this family. Tyler, Mom gasps. But I notice she moves toward him. Not me still protecting him even now. You see? Dad gestures wildly. This is what your stubbornness causes. If you just forgive and forget. Like you taught him to do. I ask quietly. When has Tyler ever had to truly face consequences? The truth lands like a physical blow. Mom's face crumples, as decades of enabling flash before her eyes. Dad looks lost without his checkbook solution. I turn to leave. Michael, a a steady presence beside me. The chaos of raised voices follows us to the door. Outside, the evening is surprisingly peaceful. Stars appear in the darkening sky. I take my first deep breath since arriving, the weight lifting from my shoulders with each step toward the car. "Are you okay?" Michael asks as we drive away. I watch my childhood home recede in the side mirror. For the first time, it looks small. "Yes," I answer, surprised to find it's true. I really am. Morning sunlight streams through the newly installed skylights, casting diamond patterns across my expanded greenhouse floor. 1 year has transformed this space from devastation to abundance. Plants of every variety stretch toward the light orchids, with arching stems. Succulents form geometric patterns, and hanging ferns creating living curtains in the corners. "Miss Flores?" Elaine appears at the doorway, clipboard in hand. My newest employee, hired just last month to help manage our growing client list. "The Martin account paperwork is ready for your signature." I glance at my watch. 7:30 a.m. The day already humming with purpose. "Thanks. I'll review it before our team meeting." I adjust the drip irrigation system for a row of specialty herbs destined for Chef Anthony's restaurant next week. In my office, a simple space I built with reclaimed wood and large windows, I pause before the framed business plan hanging beside my desk. The paper has yellowed slightly, but my handwriting remains bold and clear, detailing every aspect of the dream I refuse to abandon. The loan officer had raised his eyebrows when I first presented it, but yesterday, his congratulatory email arrived. 70% of my loan repaid ahead of schedule, refinanced at a rate that seemed impossible a year ago. My phone buzzes with a text from Michael. "Dinner tonight to celebrate the refinance. I've got something special planned." The warmth spreading through my chest has nothing to do with the morning sun. What began as professional respect has grown into something I never expected to. Find a relationship built on mutual admiration rather than obligation. Dr. Watts would call this progress. Our weekly therapy sessions have helped me understand the difference between family ties and family bonds. One is automatic, the other earned. Last month, I discussed Tyler without my hands shaking or voice tightening. Not forgiveness exactly, but freedom from the anger that once threatened to root in my heart like an invasive species. The greenhouse doorbell chimes. Through the glass, I recognize my mother's silver sedan. She stands uncertainly by her car, clutching a small plant in a terracotta pot. Our relationship exists in careful texts and occasional coffee meetings. Now her attempts at connection, respectfully observing my boundaries. Dad hasn't visited once. Still waiting for an apology. I won't offer for protecting what's mine. Tyler completed his court-ordered community service with performative compliance, making the motions without true change. Last week, he applied for a job at Harrison's Garden Center across town, listing extensive greenhouse experience on his resume. The owner called to verify one of many bridges Tyler didn't realize I'd built in this community. "Good morning," I call to my team as they arrive for our daily huddle. Faces bright with purpose. People who chose to be here, who value what we've built together. After work, I walk the property perimeter, surveying what we've accomplished. Security cameras gleam discreetly from corners. New beds burst with color where destruction once reigned. The client whose order Tyler destroyed now places orders triple the size, impressed by how handled adversity. Michael arrives as evening softens the light. He seems nervous, fidgeting, with something in his pocket as he suggests a walk through the largest greenhouse. Beneath the arbor of climbing roses I propagated from cuttings, he kneels, question and ring offered together. Later, we host an impromptu celebration dinner with my employees and friends, the family I've chosen. Laughter echoes across tables set among flowering plants. When we raise glasses and toast, my eyes catch the newly installed sign above the main. Entrance, Flora's family greenhouse. The name remains, but its meaning has transformed completely. Family is what you build, not just what you're born into. And what I've built will continue to flourish, season after season, rooted in strength, rather than obligation.